new Education Act, the most far-reaching since the war, aims to raise and unify standards within schools. For most adults, schools are a no-go area. But tonight, week in, week out, looks at what goes on in school as pupils and teachers alike face up to the challenges in the classroom.
The beginning of another day at Glan Afan Comprehensive Port Talbot, a typical Welsh secondary school. Like every other comprehensive in Wales, it's in the throes of some of the most radical changes seen in education for 40 years.
Mrs. Lewis.
Karen.
Assembly, the traditional start to the day. But how is this school facing up to the need for change, meeting the technological challenges of the 21st century?
Right, good morning, class. Let's take the register first of all, please. Andrew O'Keefe. No, right. Stuart Phelps. Ian Pugh. Jamie. Lisa. Beverly. Now then, this morning is a bit different, isn't it? Normally we're in the kitchen, but we're up in the computer room. Now, during the last couple of weeks, we have covered balancing your diet, where we discussed many types of food, eating for a healthier life, choosing foods that are fairly healthy for us, not a lot of sugar and fat. This morning we've been trying to link up home economics with the computer room. During the last couple of weeks we've done a programme on healthy eating, planning meals for various members of the family, and now hopefully the information that they've gathered from that work, they're going to put it onto a computer programme. So the aim really of this lesson is to see if they're having the right sort of foods, and hopefully these graphs will show that at the end of the lesson. For homework, you should have made a list of foods that you'd eaten the day before. Presumably everyone's done that for homework. Yes. All right. Now then, on the list of foods, I want you to put your code number. Now, you see the code number on home economics has always got that cooking stuck to it, but it has changed a lot over the years. Unfortunately, I think Mr. Kenneth Baker doesn't seem to agree on this point, because at the moment home economics seems to be at the very end of the list. Hopefully it will still be available on the curriculum. At the moment, the first, second and third years, the syllabus there is being planned for a modular approach, where they may only get about 8 weeks in a year to do with home economics, and then it'll be mainly geared towards science and certainly towards investigational work. Right, Carl, do you know what you're doing? Now then, list the foods that you have for breakfast. Do you have breakfast?
Frosties and donuts.
Right, take cornflakes instead. All right? We're hoping to put in another network room. Computers is the thing that's coming in. And again, home economics, we've got to try to link up with computers as much as possible. I think possibly that's our aim, making it more technical, bringing technology into it wherever we can, and perhaps then people will take notice that home economics has a place in school.
601 pupils, 40 of those are prefects. We've got 6 seniors, head girl, head boy, and 2 deputy head girls, 2 deputy head boys. So choose the prefects. Each teacher gets votes and put lists up in the staff room.
As you know, the school has made a promotional video. It's to be taken out to the feeder schools in order for us to increase our roles, try and encourage pupils from the feeder schools to come to us instead of to other schools. Your task this afternoon is to watch the video and to try and come up with a commentary. At the moment, as an English teacher, I find I'm using much more media equipment in the lessons as an everyday occurrence. It's been taken on next year first time, and it'll be a full GCSE course. But there will only be one class and one member of staff teaching it. If it takes off, which I think it will, in the technology area of the school, I think it'll prove a very popular course for those pupils who, under the national curriculum, must study some science, and it'll be an interesting option for them.
We have always had this problem whereby pupils whose friends go to the other school, they want to go with them. It's also happened the other way around. But it just happens that last year there was an inordinate number wishing to go to the other school.
The intention at the present time is simply that we show them the video and just talk to them about courses at Glan Afan. But I think your suggestion is even better.
We're giving them a taste of what Glan Afan is about way before anybody else is, you know, they can see what other schools are like, which is not what we've done in the past, is it?
Do you think if you go down and sell the video, we're going to staunch this flow of possible pupils?
Well, really, it's an exercise to inform parents of perspective.
The horn on the bus goes beep, beep, Ryan, beep, beep, Ross, Ryan, beep, beep, the horn.
Playgroup was set up in response to a demand we found there was in the area for such a group, a mother and toddler group. Because of insurance, it has to be a mother and toddler group where the mothers are technically in charge, although the girls run the group and observe the development of the children within the group. When the GCSE examination started just over 2 years ago, girls were asked in child development to observe a child for a period of 3 months. It wasn't easy for all the girls to have access to a child, and one day we had a health visitor in to speak, and she mentioned there was a need in this area for a mother and toddler group. We talked about it, and the girls and I decided to set up a group in school with the approval of the Education Authority and the headmaster. And the group has gone from strength to strength ever since. We now have a waiting list almost large enough to set up another group on another day. It stands alone as a GCSE subject. They could pursue nursery nursing, they could pursue teaching, particularly primary school teaching, after doing it.
All day long.
I don't really want to go into a career with children or anything, but I think it'll help me with my, if I have a family, and it gives you experience to deal with children.
I'd like to go into teaching, nursery teaching as a second career, so it's experience for me with younger children.
Right, another system we had before. Design your own now, but using those.
These?
No, those. Those teeth go with those. Take it apart and redesign the whole system if you like.
I think some parents would be quite surprised about the fact that they are playing with Lego in school. The big difference between this type of Lego and the type they got in the house is that this is Lego Technic. It shows basically a lot of technological principles that they can actually get hands-on experience with. The other advantage of this stuff is that you can expand it. The next step that this lot goes on to is the motorised Lego, which then can be controlled by computer.
Yeah, but why do you think it turns faster? Looking at those two.
So because when you got the thing, so there's a big cog driving the small cog.
Yeah, that's right.
But the small cog's on the same axle as a big cog that's driving the small cog.
That's right.
It's good to give them an appreciation of exactly what technology means to them in everyday life. At the moment, they're using the actual work cards which is applied in the Lego Technic. Once they've learned to handle it themselves more confidently, if you like, when we do the next sort of topic that we are going to do, then they'll start designing their own test kits for it, hopefully.
So we can't get the wheels for you, sir? Too big.
You'll fit, Nelson. Take those two off. Sorry about this, Brian.
From April 1990, all schools will be totally responsible for financial management of the school. The headmaster with the governing body, of course, being ultimately responsible for the allocation of funds for this, that and the other throughout the school. And I mean everything in the school, from teaching costs, non-teaching staff, heating, lighting, building maintenance, everything. We have a management structure in school which involves the allocation of responsibilities, varying responsibilities, and I can see no reason to believe that with the head teacher's new role that he cannot have certainly a finger on the pulse of what is happening in the school as far as teachers are concerned. You know, he won't be sort of shut up in his room dealing with the financial management for all of his time.
If you do have time, which is a lot of free period, which is called teacher support time, you've always got something to do, or you know, you have to supervise another class. So it is very few and far between. Treasured moments when you have some time. I've been teaching now for about 7 years. And the topics seem to be constantly changing. We never seem to have the same syllabus 2 years running. So it's constantly new work all the time. You've always got to prepare something new. You never seem to be able to get into a rut. It's new work all the time. It keeps changing. I think we are basically a fairly happy school. Obviously we do have some problems, but you might get one pupil that has played up a lot. Sometimes the child blows his cold, sometimes I do. But usually you just talk to them. I mean, if I feel that it is really the person is really out of control, then I would have to send them to the head of year, or to the deputy head, because it is not really my job to punish them, as you know, to that extent. I can give them an essay to write, but if there's something really serious, I would expect the deputy heads or the house heads or somebody to see to it.
Hello, Ken. This is Geraint here. You know, we arranged this morning to meet at 10. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to call it off because one of the staff has brought in a boy. There's been a bit of bother here. And also, down in the foyer, there's a parent, and she wants to see one of the deputies. And it looks as though I've got the short straw. So we're going to have to call this meeting off. Can I get back to you about that? OK. I'll phone you next week if I may, then, Ken. Goodbye now. Thank you. Goodbye. Well, that was a typical example now that, in fact, a problem erupted because I intended to go out and I had to forego that. And then there's the parent coming in. I don't know what that one is yet because I've yet to sort of see the parent. But the problem number one was there was a problem of discipline. And the second problem, I suspect, will be possibly something to do with the way that something was handled in school. I think the problem of discipline is quite difficult in schools now because obviously the sanctions we have are far fewer than we had, say, a year ago. We can't inflict corporal punishment anymore. That's been taken away from us for a year and a half now, and quite a number of staff were not very happy with that, not only in this school, but I think nationwide. Not because I think the teachers are sadists for 1 minute, but simply because they feel that there should be some ultimate sanction, that there should be some form of deterrent which does enable pupils to conform.
Right, now then let me just remind you what it is that we're going to do this morning. We are going to see what happens when we heat zinc in steam. You can start heating up the zinc, and you'll remember you need to heat both the zinc and the wet Roxil wool.
My personal experience is that children are not particularly interested in science. I find that if they have to take it, they will take it, but very few of them are very interested in science, and what will happen in the future when they have to take science, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what does happen, but if the advance of science is at the expense of things like drama and music and so on, then I don't think that for the average child it will necessarily be a good thing.
Now you can stop heating, take that out, wait a minute, get the splint ready, light the splint and test the gas. Now you're very disappointed. If at first you don't succeed.
I've been teaching in this school for 31 years, and when I started here I was teaching chemistry, and I was teaching up to advanced level. We lost our 6th form about 4 years ago, I think. And that made a tremendous difference to me, obviously, because I lost my 6th form work.
try to give the variety of food, and as I say, I got a daughter that comes in for lunch and she enjoys her food, and most of the children that come in here, you know, they enjoy their food as well.
We've seen a big drop in the numbers of the children. I think it is because there's so much competition with around the town. We did the centre of the town, and there's so much competition, although we try to keep our prices as low as we can, which are the cheapest from outside anywhere.
I just think the foods are fatty, and we got better stuff out of school, like it's better to come out of school because you're stuck in there all day, and it's better to come out to get some freedom.
You can choose the ones you want. Maybe there's things that you don't like.
If you're going in the canteen, like, you get call names and all that, just make taking out of you totally.
Now then, hands up the people who still haven't found a book with a list of illustrations in it.
Well, I've been here 11 years and my role has changed over those years.
Can you go and find a book then with a list of illustrations? Which
No, I don't only teach my subject. I have to be involved with the child as a whole. I have to encourage his social development. We now have a special lesson put aside for pastoral care. So on a Friday morning, we put our English books away and we talk about problems they may have. We try to encourage them then to become a better citizen.
Good girl, and you also wanted, you?
Obviously, if some child came to me with a major problem, we hear a lot about child abuse, etc., then I don't think I would be equipped to deal with that problem, but I'd be able to know where to pass the problem on to the year tutor. If she couldn't cope, she'd be able to pass it on. So there are ways and means of dealing with problems. I don't think you should ever go into the teaching profession thinking, right, I'm going to teach my subject, whether it be English, maths, science, and that's it. I mean, you're teaching young human beings who are going to enter society, so you've got to be involved with them. I mean, there's so many things going on in the school. You've got to be involved in everything that is going on, every aspect of school.
There we are. Drop of water, wash it down. And we'll check your break time, okay? And I'm sure the last 2 lessons will feel much better. It's nearly time for home then, isn't it? I'm here because the children know me as their school nurse. We don't get many outbreaks of diseases. The most recent was scabies. And I mean, that was controlled because it was found, the children excluded, and treatment given. But apart from that, it's routine accidents for the pupils and staff. And here for advice.
I've had a headache since this morning.
Since this morning, and you suffered all day with it?
It's the same with me, miss, and I've just been sick in the library.
At 9 o'clock in the morning, I will have a queue there of illness. And you'll say, why did you come into school? My mother and father are in work. And then you were lost, you know, you're trying to ring round where they work and if they can come and fetch them or...
Wilting here a little.
I don't feel they're neglected, but I think a lot more parents are working and it's not so easy. And perhaps that's why they're being sent in not up to the mark. And of course they know the school nurse is here now and the school nurse will make arrangements to go to grandparents or aunties or neighbours. So it takes a lot of responsibility then from the parents, which is wrong. The child is their responsibility. There we are, and I'll see you break time. The nurse's role is in school, mainly for counselling. They know I'm not part of the staff or the teaching staff. So if they've got a personal problem, it's usually me they will come to because it is confidential. It doesn't go from this room unless they want it.
Okay.
What's happening? Look, what's happening along the bar itself?
Red.
Starting to go red. Does anybody like to pick the other end of the bar up? Yes or no? Why? It's like to be hot. Thank you. Okay, Johnson, you move the way.
We're employed as the moment as science teachers or technology teachers, craft teachers, whatever. But more and more tie-up is being made, if you like, between departments so that we in fact work more and more together. For example, electronics is not really a science subject in that true sense of the word, but yet we teach technologies, electronics. So science teachers are involved in that as much as technology teachers, really.
Right, now what we've got 4 metals. We've got copper, steel, aluminium, and lead. Right then, last one, John. You're enjoying this?
At Port the prospects are not very good. I mean, they're better than they were, but it's still pretty bad for them. Most of the youngsters feel that they're not going to get very far when they reach school. Unless there's a big boost in this area of Wales anyway.
Okay. So, if you were going to build a car, which materials would you use? Or build a bike? And where?
Aluminium.
Where?
In the engine.
It's going to melt. When I was a youngster, I can remember said, if you couldn't get a job, join the army. And it seems to be going that way. But the army themselves, in particular, my oldest boy is in the army, and I know that you got so many old levels, you can't just walk in as you used to be. It's not as easy as it used to be.
Right, the 4 main levels are... Chical is a program where we ask about 250 questions to each of the pupils. And then those questions are fed into a computer, and the computer matches the pupils' interests, ideas and abilities to over 1,000 jobs. It boils down from 1,000 to about 20 jobs, which is specifically related to that individual. Now, we're going to look at ourselves and be honest with ourselves and decide which area am I going to fit into. Out of all your interests and your hobbies at home, what areas are these would you be interested in? E, artistic. So you like taking art during school? Right, so we'll take E at the moment. We try and cover as many aspects as possible within a short period of time. And to supplement this, we have the main career service, which is based outside school, which you can refer them to in the future. Nothing there? I don't think so. I think this might be the last one coming up now. Beautician, beauty therapist, hairdresser. Interested in hairdressing?
Yes, sir.
What we've been taught now is a lot better with science, emphasis on science, because it's easier to learn things.
The teachers are encouraging girls to do more sort of like what a class is the men's subjects, you know, as things as mechanics and engineering, and the boys are then encouraged to do the sort of what they consider to be girls' subjects, such as cookery and needlework and childcare and things like that.
If I opted for one of the academic subjects like needlework or cookery, I think there'd be a lot of a hustle between friends I've got.
We took on the GCSE 2 years ago, and that in itself has given the department and the members of staff within the department a new lease of life, which is incredible, because all of a sudden we've got something that we can give back to the children. Because in the past, with our rugby teams, with our netball teams, all the teams within school, we've expected of the children, and they've always given, but we could never give them anything back. But now, those pupils who have got the skill on the sporting field and on the sporting scene, we now actually find that we can give them something back in the way of a qualification.
Keep going. Come on, keep going. Come on, Phil. Come on, use your guys, use your guys.
When I was in the school originally as a pupil, it was a grammar school, and obviously it's changed from there. I think each change that comes along, I'd be honest in my heart and say, first initial sort of look at it and say, oh God, it's horror, like, you know, not another change, not another change. But I think looking back over the years, certainly yes, I think each change that we've had has done something for the school and enhanced the school, to be honest. We're going back to the old grammar school system, aren't we? When comprehensive schools came in, they were the bee's knees. We're now going back to the old grammar school system. I sometimes wonder, I go back to Mr. Baker again, I think give him 5 years, he changes his mind again, to be perfectly honest.
We all agree that if you do a 2-year course, then it's too long. The children are turned off by the end of the 2 years. Cut it into smaller sections, and it's far better for them.
We've always worked overtime, but I think that since we've had these new regulations, it has been more formalised. We do have definite dates for definite meetings. We come together, for example, in departmental meetings. We have these working parties, and the committee setup is much more structured, much more formal now than it used to be. I don't know that we work more hours, but perhaps we work them in a more structured manner.
That's better, that's better, that's better. Don't walk round, come on, straight. Oh, Hazel. No! Walk in front, stop! I've solved my mystery. The other night when I said follow Helen, we have actually got 2 Helens. Once you get
I would normally have been at the meeting, which is held every week or every few weeks. But tonight, because the production is so close, the headmaster allowed us to miss the meetings.
Come on! Want my tea?
Most of our rehearsal has to be done after school. It's something I've always done since I've been in the school, and I think this will be about the 10th production that's been here since I've been at school. And I find it probably one of the most rewarding parts of the job. How over all those years, there is never any problem in getting around 100 to 120 pupils involved in a production. And over half of those will give up enormous amounts of their time. And I find that very, very rewarding, both as a teacher and as somebody who's interested himself in acting outside of teaching.
Angry? Starving? Gonna mother? No. Are you staying in London?
Hang on, your line is, do you live in London? Yeah, okay. Do it again.
Do you live in London? One hour down. What if I introduce you to someone?
I wouldn't say it's actually technically and legally classed as part of my job, and yet it's a part of my job which I will continue to do because I find it so rewarding.
So favourite of Mr. Feigen. That's his name, Mr. Feigen. Emphasise it the second time round, otherwise it's not...
The relationships that build up within the extracurricular activities carry over into the classroom, and it makes, I think, my job as a teacher a lot easier, because you see children in a different light and not just within the classroom context. You see them, you know, rehearsing, and you see them making sort of mistakes, and you can see them also developing over a period of rehearsal, and the sort of relationships that build up between the staff and the pupils under these activities, I think is tremendous.
Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Dawkins. Can't I think of it?
And can we, no then, right, it's great, move, right, can't I think of it, have a think, okay? Can't I think of it? Oh, you ain't got no, oh, son, okay?
Within a comprehensive school, we have an enormous gap, as it were, between our brightest and our slowest, and what the end result for each person is going to be varies according to them. I think, yes, you know, we're doing all of that. There are children within the school who will go to university. There are others who find it very difficult to even get to school. And this is where perhaps the social side and the pastoral side. There are perhaps children here who are maybe unhappy because of what's going on outside of school. And I think it's very important that the school has the opportunity to be able to let those children come to terms with whatever's upsetting them outside of school, so that when they are in school, then they can take full advantage of what's on offer for them.
Go, in front of me. I want you in front of me. Never mind about the senior march, you can dodge that later. That's more, that, oh.